What if I told you that the key to skyrocketing your spiritual vibration wasn't about adding more rituals, more practices, or more stuff to your life, but about quitting the things that are secretly draining your energy and holding you back? If you're ready to shed the invisible weights that are keeping you stuck, and finally unleash the high vibration being you were always meant to be, then keep listening. This is about subtraction, not addition. Highly spiritual people understand a fundamental truth that most people miss: your natural state is already high vibration. You don't need to force it, you need to uncover it. And the way to do that is by strategically quitting the habits, mindsets, and energies that are dragging you down. So, before we dive in, I have a crucial question for you: what are you willing to let go of to become the highest version of yourself? Not what you're willing to add. That's where most people get it wrong. They think raising their vibration is about doing more meditation, more affirmations, more spiritual practices. But the secret, the one that truly awakened individuals know, is that it's about subtraction. So, what are these things that highly spiritual people strategically quit? Let's start with one of the most pervasive and insidious blocks: toxic relationships. And I'm not just talking about romantic partners. This could be a friendship, a family dynamic, or even a professional connection. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to literally drain your energy the moment they enter a room? It's not your imagination. Every interaction is an exchange of energy. And if someone is consistently bringing negativity, criticism, or drama into your life, they are actively lowering your vibration. Highly spiritual people understand this energetic exchange, and they make the often difficult, but necessary, choice to distance themselves. Let me ask you this: who in your life makes you feel lighter, more expansive, more aligned with your true self? And who makes you feel heavy, chaotic, or depleted? The answers to those questions will reveal a great deal about where your energy is being siphoned. But here's the crucial nuance: it's not just about avoiding toxic people, it's also about quitting the need to fix or save others. Spiritually inclined individuals often fall into this trap, because they feel so deeply. They see someone suffering and think, I can help them, I can heal them. But here's the hard truth: you can't heal anyone who isn't ready to heal themselves. And when you pour all your energy into trying, you deplete your own vibration. Highly spiritual people recognize that true healing comes from within, and their role is to inspire, not to rescue. So, the question becomes, are you attempting to save someone at the expense of your own peace and well-being? Now, let's move on to another common energy drain: attachment to material things. This doesn't mean you have to renounce all your possessions and become a hermit. It's not about the things themselves, it's about your emotional attachment to them. Do you define your self-worth by what you own? Does the fear of losing something keep you in a constant state of anxiety? Highly spiritual people understand that material possessions are temporary, and clinging to them only creates suffering. They quit the need to hoard, to impress, or to control through possessions. Instead, they embrace simplicity and cultivate gratitude for what they do have. Let me ask you this: if you lost everything tomorrow, would you still know who you are? That's the level of detachment we're talking about. Another major obstacle that highly spiritual people consciously overcome is the victim mindset. This one is incredibly pervasive because it's so easy to slip into. Life inevitably throws challenges our way, and it's tempting to fall into the "why is this happening to me" trap. But here's the fundamental truth: the moment you embrace the victim role, you surrender your power. Highly spiritual individuals don't perceive challenges as punishments, they see them as opportunities for growth, for learning, for expansion. They quit blaming others, quit blaming circumstances, and instead, take radical responsibility for their energy in their choices. Here's a powerful question to contemplate: in what areas of your life are you still clinging to blame? What would shift if you released that blame and fully reclaimed your power? Let's shift gears and address something even more subtle, yet equally potent: negative self-talk. You might not even be consciously aware of how frequently your inner dialogue is subtly undermining your vibration. Every time you criticize yourself, doubt your abilities, or compare yourself unfavorably to others, you're reinforcing the insidious belief that you're not enough. Highly spiritual people actively quit this destructive habit by cultivating mindfulness of their thoughts. They don't allow their minds to run on autopilot, they consciously choose thoughts that uplift, empower, and support their growth. But this isn't about forced positivity or pretending that everything is perfect. It's about cultivating self-compassion and intentionally redirecting your energy towards growth rather than self-sabotage. So, let me ask you, what's the dominant narrative you're telling yourself about who you are? Is it a story that elevates you or one that keeps you diminished? And we can't ignore the pervasive influence of technology in lowering our vibration. Highly spiritual people consciously quit mindless scrolling, endless notifications, and the constant craving for digital stimulation. Why? Because every time you pick up your phone, you're opening yourself to a barrage of energy, some of it positive, but much of it chaotic, fear-based, or simply distracting. Social media, in particular, can be a breeding ground for comparison, judgment, and low-frequency interactions. Spiritually awakened individuals establish healthy boundaries with their devices because they recognize that their attention is sacred. They quit the compulsive need to be constantly connected and instead prioritize real, meaningful connections, with themselves, with others, and with the divine. Here's a question to ponder: how much of your precious time and energy are you unconsciously giving away to your devices? What would become possible if you reclaimed that time and energy for your spiritual growth? Finally, let's address the most potent vibration killer of all, fear. Highly spiritual people actively work to quit letting fear control them. But here's the insidious thing about fear: it's incredibly sneaky. It doesn't always manifest as outright panic or terror. Sometimes, it disguises itself as procrastination, as the need to control every detail, or as that nagging voice whispering, "What if I fail?" Highly spiritual individuals don't attempt to eliminate fear entirely, that's an unrealistic goal. But they quit allowing it to dictate their decisions. They confront their fears head-on, knowing that each time they do, their vibration rises. So, let me ask you, what fear is currently holding you back? And what would your life look like if you courageously moved through it instead of allowing it to paralyze you? This is just the beginning of what highly spiritual people consciously choose to quit in order to elevate their vibration tenfold. But remember, quitting isn't about deprivation or self-denial, it's about liberation. It's about creating space for the light, peace, and power that already reside within you to fully blossom. Are you ready to continue this transformative journey? Let's delve even deeper. Let's explore the silent saboteurs, the often unnoticed habits that subtly erode your spiritual energy. Now that we've examined the major things highly spiritual people consciously quit, let's delve into the more subtle, often invisible, habits that quietly sabotage your vibration. These are the sneaky behaviors, mindsets, and patterns that operate in the background of your life, so ingrained that you might not even realize they're holding you back. But once you become aware of them, everything shifts. Awareness is the key to transformation. And by quitting these silent saboteurs, you'll unlock a level of freedom and spiritual clarity that few ever experience. Let's begin with something many people overlook: the habit of seeking external validation. How often do you unconsciously measure your worth by how others perceive you? Whether it's through social media likes, praise from a supervisor, or approval from family members, this craving for external validation is one of the most significant impediments to spiritual growth. Why? Because every time you seek validation outside of yourself, you disconnect from your inner power, your inherent worthiness. Highly spiritual people consciously quit this habit because they know their value isn't determined by anyone else's opinion. They don't live for applause or external approval, they live in alignment with their own inner truth. Let me ask you, how much of your energy is currently expended trying to be seen, appreciated, or validated by others? And what would change if you gave yourself the unconditional approval you're constantly seeking? Next, let's address the insidious habit of overthinking. This one is incredibly prevalent. Overthinking is like quicksand for your vibration. it traps you in endless loops of doubt, worry, and mental noise. And the most frustrating part? The vast majority of the things you overthink never actually happen. Highly spiritual people quit overthinking because they understand a profound truth: the mind is a tool, not a master. When your mind is hyperactive, it disconnects you from your intuition, your presence, and your inner peace. But here's the crucial point: quitting overthinking isn't about stopping your thoughts, that's an impossible task. It's about creating space between you and your thoughts, about becoming the observer rather than the captive. Meditation, mindfulness practices, and conscious breathwork are powerful tools for cultivating this detachment. The next time you find yourself spiraling into overthinking, try this simple exercise: pause. Take a deep, conscious breath. Ask yourself, is this thought serving me, or is it draining me? That single question can often be enough to snap you out of the overthinking loop and bring you back to the present moment. Another silent saboteur that highly spiritual people consciously quit is judgment, and not just judgment of others, but, perhaps even more importantly, judgment of themselves. Judgment is one of the lowest vibrational states because it's fundamentally rooted in separation. When you judge another person, you create a barrier between yourself and them, reinforcing the illusion that we are all disconnected individuals. When you judge yourself, you disconnect from your own divine nature, your inherent worthiness. Spiritually awakened individuals quit judgment by consciously cultivating compassion. They understand that everyone is on their own unique journey, navigating their own challenges and lessons, and that includes themselves. The next time you find yourself judging someone else, ask yourself, what part of myself am I projecting onto them? And when you catch yourself judging yourself, ask, what part of me needs love and acceptance right now? These questions will facilitate a powerful shift in your energy, from judgment to understanding, from separation to unity. Let's move on to another significant impediment: the habit of staying within your comfort zone. The comfort zone is a deceptively alluring place because it feels safe. But in reality, it's a cage. It keeps you small, stagnant, and disconnected from your vast potential. Highly spiritual people actively quit this habit because they understand that growth happens outside the comfort zone. They embrace discomfort as a teacher, recognizing that every challenge is an invaluable opportunity to expand, to evolve, to become more of who they truly are. So, let me ask you, where in your life are you currently playing it safe? What would become possible if you stepped outside your comfort zone, even if it felt scary or uncertain? Remember, your vibration doesn't elevate by doing what's easy, it rises by doing what's necessary for your soul's growth. Another subtle, yet potent, saboteur that highly spiritual people quit is the habit of complaining. Complaining is like a negativity magnet. Every time you complain, you're reinforcing the very thing you're expressing dissatisfaction about. It's as if you're saying to the universe, give me more of this. Spiritually awakened individuals understand that what you focus on expands. Instead of complaining, they consciously choose to cultivate gratitude. This doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending that everything is perfect, it means intentionally shifting your perspective. The next time you find yourself on the verge of complaining, pause and ask yourself, what's one thing I can be grateful for in this moment? Gratitude is a high vibrational state, and it's one of the most effective ways to rapidly shift your energy. A potent practice for quieting the internal cacophony is mindfulness. When the mental chatter becomes overwhelming, intentionally bring your attention to the present moment. Feel your breath. Notice the sensations in your body. Ask yourself, what's real right now, in this moment? The more you anchor yourself in the present, the less power your thoughts will have over you. There's one more layer to this detachment, and it might surprise you: quitting the need to always be doing something. In our hyperproductive culture, busyness is often glorified. We equate constant activity with worthiness, and stillness with laziness. But highly spiritual people understand that true power arises from being, not from doing. They quit the endless cycle of busyness and embrace moments of stillness and rest. Why? Because when you're perpetually doing, you disconnect from your being. And your being, your essence, your soul, is where your true vibration resides. So, let me ask you, when was the last time you allowed yourself to simply be, without guilt, without distraction, without the need to accomplish anything? What might you discover about yourself in the stillness? Detaching from the noise isn't about escaping the world or retreating into isolation, it's about creating sufficient space in your life to hear your own soul. It's about reclaiming your energy so you can utilize it consciously, to create, to heal, to align with your highest purpose. The more you detach from the external and internal noise, the more clearly you'll hear the whispers of your intuition, the guidance of the divine, and the truth of who you really are. The art of surrender, letting go to rise higher. As we step into the final, and perhaps most profound, aspect of this journey, let's address the deepest and most liberating truth of all: raising your vibration isn't ultimately about control. It's not about forcing, striving, or even perfecting. It's about surrender. It's about releasing everything that weighs you down, your fears, your expectations, your desperate need to control outcomes, and trusting the inherent intelligence of life. Highly spiritual people understand this at their core. The more you surrender, the higher you rise. The art of surrender is the ultimate key to elevating your vibration exponentially, because it allows you to align with the infinite power of the universe instead of perpetually struggling against it. But what does surrender actually mean, in practical terms? Let's begin with what it's not. Surrender isn't about giving up or becoming passive. It's not about resigning yourself to circumstances you find undesirable. Surrender is an active choice. It's choosing to release resistance and flow with what is, instead of clinging desperately to what you think should be. Imagine you're tightly gripping a rope tied to a heavy weight. The harder you pull, the more exhausted you become. But the instant you release your grip, you're free. That's the essence of surrender, freedom. One of the most significant things we resist is change. Change is often uncomfortable, unpredictable, and even frightening. But here's the undeniable truth: resisting change is like standing in a flowing river and attempting to halt the current. It's exhausting, futile, and ultimately, impossible. Highly spiritual people quit resisting change because they understand that life is in a constant state of evolution. They don't cling to old identities, relationships, or circumstances out of fear. Instead, they perceive change as an opportunity for growth, for expansion, for the unfolding of something even greater. Let me ask you, where in your life are you currently resisting change? And what might become possible if you trusted that the changes unfolding are, in fact, leading you to something better? Another crucial aspect of surrender is releasing the compulsive need to control outcomes. How often do you attempt to micromanage every detail of your life, believing that if you just work harder, worry more, or plan more meticulously, everything will unfold according to your desires? This need for control stems directly from fear, fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of disappointment. But here's the paradox: the more you strive to control, the more you inadvertently block the flow of abundance and miracles into your life. Highly spiritual people quit this habit because they know that the universe has a plan far grander and more intricate than anything they could possibly conceive of. They set intentions, take inspired action, and then release their attachment to the specific outcome. They trust that whatever unfolds is ultimately for their highest good. So, let me ask you, what are you attempting to control right now? And what would it feel like to release that need and surrender to the process? Surrender also requires relinquishing self-imposed expectations. We all carry within us an image of who we think we should be, how our lives should look, and what success should entail. But these expectations often originate from the ego, not from the soul. They create pressure, fuel comparison, and foster a persistent feeling of not enough. Highly spiritual people quit chasing these external standards and instead align with their inner truth. They measure their success not by how much they've achieved, but by how much peace, joy, and love they experience in their hearts. Let me ask you, are you living for your soul, or for your ego? And what expectations could you release to create more space for your authentic self to emerge? Finally, surrender is about releasing the past and wholeheartedly forgiving both yourself and others. Holding on to past hurts, regrets, or resentments is like carrying a heavy, cumbersome backpack up a steep mountain. It weighs you down, drains your energy, and makes every step more arduous. Highly spiritual people quit carrying this burden because they understand it's impossible to ascend to higher vibrational states while clinging to the density of the past. Forgiveness isn't about condoning what happened, it's about liberating yourself from its grip. It's about declaring, I release this, so that I can be free. Let me ask you, what are you still holding on to from your past? And what might shift if you finally, truly forgave and let go? The art of surrender is the ultimate act of trust. It's trusting that the universe is conspiring in your favor, even when circumstances appear challenging or incomprehensible. It's trusting that you are always guided, always supported, and always enough. When you surrender, you don't lose control, you gain freedom. You become a conduit for divine energy, and your vibration naturally elevates. You begin to live in alignment with the effortless flow of life, and that's where the true magic unfolds. So, let me leave you with this final, potent question: what are you still holding on to that's preventing you from rising? What would happen if, right now, in this very moment, you made the conscious choice to let it go? Because the truth is, everything you've ever desired, peace, joy, love, abundance, already resides within you. All you have to do is surrender to it. The path to raising your vibration exponentially isn't about doing more, it's about letting go, trusting, and aligning with the infinite power that has always been there, patiently waiting for you to say, yes. Will you say, yes?